teacher please stand? The teacher.
The teacher is.
Oh, okay, you're a parent?
The teacher, yeah, I'm a parent. The teachers are out of town because it's spring break.
Oh, okay. So you're representing this group?
It's also Street PTA.
The student, yeah, PTA.
Okay. Were any other attempts made to the Board of Education or anybody for money for these trips?
No, not for this particular one.
Okay. How many students?
It is approximately 60.
Yeah, 57 fourth graders.
67 fourth graders. And this is Tulsa.
Yep, right here in Granada.
And we used to have our meetings there.
We did. It's a fine school. Any other comment? No? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. This is a financial vote, so please raise your hand so the secretary can record.
Oh, one other question. Is it possible, if so, for you to get t-shirts, we'll up the ante on it. I will make a motion to up the ante if you wear a t-shirt saying that this trip was sponsored by Granada Hills, Granada Hills South Neighborhood Council.
You're gonna have to trip it
Actually, yeah, Eric, I don't think we can is an NPG.
I think that's a yes.
It's an NPG that's been signed by the principal of the school already, so I don't think we can go beyond that. And as great an idea as that is, I think the Tulsa PCA is aware of our support, and I'm sure, given Ms. Williams' involvement, they will be very well aware of it through her involvement and
I don't want them to just be aware of it. I want everybody else to be aware of it.
Well, how about this, as a thank you, and a low-cost thank you, if we can't fund t-shirts being made, how about if we have everybody have brightly colored name badges that say that? Just a low-cost alternative.
That's fine with me.
And the other thing is,
I think a public announcement on it.
is you have a
Public announcement,
you have a
there's no
PTA, webpage, right?
And an all-call system where they phone every parent
Right,
at
so
the
just-
school.
They can add it to that because they have
That's cool.
they have a phone system that goes out once
Robocall.
a month. Plus they have a monthly flyer, a PTA flyer.
Mostly it's, we will be happy to make a flyer if we can get this funding.
thank you very much.
I appreciate it.
Tins are all gone, bags are all gone, we have potato chips left, I think, if that.
We're not.
All right, so since this is not coming from committee, I'd like to ask for a second. I'm sorry, who's seconding? Sally, second? Okay. All right, all those in favor, please signify by raising your hand.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now have you done on the phone?
Okay. I'm done. If you so. And Jeff, thank you for coming. Just so you're aware, Mr. Moore is leaving because of the holiday. We wish you the best.
Happy holidays.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
All right, so we didn't have any abstentions or against, so we can move on. Okay. Thank you, and we will deal with this as quickly as we can.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. All right, we have still a long agenda, and it's 8 o'clock, folks, so I think since we do have 11, and if everybody can commit, we'll just grind through it front to back. Rolling back to item 5, community speakers. Tanya, you know what? I'm gonna speak for the council tonight.
Go ahead.
Okay. I had the great good fortune of meeting with Councilman Englander today. We had a frank and open exchange of views, and the things that he told me, I was very pleased to hear. First and foremost, he told me that the varied elements of the community and civic plan are moving forward and should be out of the planning by the end of the fiscal year, which means this summer. So that's actually tremendous progress given the amount of challenges inherent in something as significant as that.
8 years.
This includes elements that we're all familiar with, including all the things we've been talking about, or as Eric said, 8 years. So he gave me his personal assurance that that will happen, and that despite the pressure from a lot of people who would love to do nothing more than see these sorts of changes to Granada Hills that happen elsewhere in the city, he is in complete agreement with the goals of the plan, and that despite the fact that it is not yet law, he told this to me, he will oppose anything that anyone would try and slide in before it comes into play. So that was the first issue. The second issue is we are possibly on track for a significant expenditure of public funds here in Granada Hills to improve the recreation possibilities for our community and our kids. And that was something that he shared with me. There's a lot of things that are going on, a lot of moving parts, but it is nothing but good news for anybody who cares about this community, about the people who live here, and about the children who grow up here. So Tanya, those are both really positive things, and I hate to have kept you here. Was there anything else that we need to touch on from City 12?
No. This is, I'm here to listen to your agenda
Okay.
so.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
But I wanted to share that because we had a very good meeting. Okay, moving on. Board issues and updates. Let's see. Mike, you want to go through this?
Yeah, how many people we have?
We have 11. We have a quorum. No, we can't do it. We lost Jeff. All right. Well,
No, you had Ross come in, so yours should be okay.
Yeah.
But if we dismiss him, we'll be down to 10. Well, that's funny.
Oh, that's right.
We'll
Oh, that same thing last month.
Yeah, there's Jeff, there's, yeah, I think we're 12.
Yeah, you're okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we got a quorum.
All right. My apologies.
Of course, we could also be presented as a single motion.
Well, it could be, but this is actually.
Okay.
So, given how closely we have to abide a few things by the numbers. Okay, this is 6-1. As everybody knows, we have an opening for community organizations. We've discussed this once before.
I would really like to go through these things with the bylaws first, just in case, just some procedural, because I'd hate to lose him on some technicality. I really would, because this has to be ready, this has to be voted on tonight, so it'll be ready for, the deadline for me to turn this in is May 1st.
All right, okay. Then can I ask for your, all right.
That way we make sure he stays here.
Something.
On the, is anybody opposed to that? Speaking as a veteran. Jay, I understand you're here to speak on the mayor's veterans initiative as well. Okay, I'll make this really short and sweet. I'm a veteran. Who here is a veteran? Raise your hand. Okay, so there's all two of us. Not to, thank you, not to minimize how important and significant this is, but do we expect that we're gonna have an issue with this from anybody as far as looking at an ad hoc Veterans Affairs Committee?
No.
Who's gonna tell us what their committee does?
Okay.
Give me 1 minute and I'll get at it.
Okay, just so we're clear, what we're moving to is 8-2. B4. That's run at the bottom of the third page, request to establish an ad hoc committee regarding veterans and their issues. Randall's gonna speak to it
1 minute.
concisely.
So really quickly, the West LA Neighborhood Council has a Veterans Affairs Committee because the southern end of the VA in West LA is part of, not legally part because they're not, part of neighborhood council area of the city, but they are part of our district, and we are highly impacted by the veteran homeless that we have out there. I, along with a guy you may know the name, Robert Rosebrock, from the Veterans Guard, have been working 15 years to get the veterans that are sleeping on cardboard boxes outside the gate, inside the gate. All the things you've seen, the exposés on the news and everything lately, and this whole big thing about what's happening with the West LA Veterans Center is a direct result of what we've been doing. We have been fighting, and Robert Rosebrock filed the lawsuits with the ACLUs. Bobby Schreiber is a liar. It was not him. Okay, he had nothing to do with it. But I will tell you this, the Veterans Affairs Committee and the Homeless Committee that the West LA Neighborhood Council has, we have requested and are getting major funding from the discretionary funds from our city councilmen to hire an outreach worker to go out into the community and work and find the veterans and the other homeless and get them vouchers and get them into housing or get them medical and mental health care that they absolutely need to get off. We don't just count them, we're now going out and our committee is going out and working on the streets, asking the veterans, asking the homeless, are they veterans? We're working directly with the executive director and the head of the West LA VA. Okay, in a joint venture, we're working with Congressman Lou now on the federal level. We're working on every level as a committee to hopefully help Eric Garcetti and the First Lady achieve what they say they're going to achieve, which is no more veteran homelessness by the end of 2015. Not so sure that's going to happen, but we're going to try everything we can to help, and we're bringing in every resource we can, and the way we're able to do it was bring veterans and citizens together in a veterans committee and make it our priority as a neighborhood council to get these lives back up off the street and give them a hand up, not a hand down. Thank you.
Thank you very much. No, we would set up an ad hoc for GHSMC.
For our
Thank you,
committee?
Judy.
It would be an ad hoc for our council. All right. Okay, so we've had is there any public comment? Anyone opposed to an ad hoc Veterans Affairs Committee?
Exactly what would they, I'm still trying to get my head about.
Well, if we had one of these liaisons with the mayor's veterans issues.
Okay, so that ad hoc committee was working with that all of
Yes.
Oh,
No expenditure, no,
okay.
yeah. Okay. All right, any more discussion beyond more discussion we've had? No? Okay. I believe this came out of outreach.
Yes, it did.
Okay, so we don't need a second, I'll call it. All those in favor of establishing an ad hoc committee regarding veterans and their issues, please signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. I'll be in touch. Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody.
Appreciate the involvement,
Have a
appreciate
great
you
night.
so much.
You too, Steve.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay, all right, rolling back to 6, number 2. And I'm gonna ask for this right now. This is something we need to do this in order to actually be able to submit community impact statements. This can be expanded later on, but for us to even get the one that we asked for last month in, I need this authority. So I put this on. It's a board resolution for the submission of community impact statements done in city clerk policy is the city will accept statements only for neighborhood councils that have governing boards in place, we do, and have voted in a public meeting in accordance with the Brown Act to A, approve a particular CIS, which we also do, or B, authorize the president or other board members to write and submit CIS as expressed in the board's previously voted upon positions. Either way, the CIS must be a statement which expresses the position that has been voted upon by a full neighborhood council board. Motion, and this is my motion, to approve the following 4 officers, president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer, as designated to write and submit CIS as expressing the board's previously voted upon positions. Mainly myself, Jerry as VP, Anthony as secretary, Brandon as treasurer. We can certainly add, we can certainly change, we can come back at this, but for us to even get the one that we approved last month on record, we have to do this. And the sooner we do it, the more effectively we can actually get CISs in place. So having said that, let's see, second. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Public comment. Mr. Kuzic.
Just as a matter of record, you created the Governmental Affairs Committee with 5 board members that were to do it, and that's coming up later. I'm just wondering if there's a conflict
There's no conflict.
between the two, or those 4 will become those committee members for that.
It certainly be considered.
Okay.
Any board discussion?
I would suggest that you entertain a motion to strike the word full neighborhood council. It could be construed as meaning all of your members, which is almost impossible to get at any given meeting.
I'm sorry, what was that? Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. That's actually their own language, but yeah, I'll certainly take that as a friendly amendment.
I can't make you.
I'll move that. Anyone want to second it? Okay. Vote on striking the word full. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstains? Thank you. All right, so going back to the original motion then with that change. And thank you, Doctor. Let's see, it was seconded by Mark. Okay. So all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
We had a discussion.
Oh, I apologize. Yeah, I'm sorry, I got tired. Okay, we have public comment, board member comment.
Yeah, I don't think so. This is only the executive committee that you named. I know I volunteered, and I volunteered because of one reason. I sit on 2 committees. Most council files are committee work. If you're not engaged in committee work, how are you gonna work the council files? And
Yes, we have.
I'm just asking anybody, because the way I always saw the Government Affairs Committee working is they would work through committees, because that's how the council files are generated. Is through committee work. And if you don't have people who actually are working with stakeholders to do the research on the council files, how then do you bring them up to?
Well, anyone can bring it to board.
That's true,
This is simply the mechanics, and I understand your concern.
Yeah.
I'm not dismissing it. This is simply the mechanics, because I tried to put the one that we approved last month.
Yeah,
I actually tried to file it.
but you can't because you didn't have the minutes.
Well, I'm sorry, I asked how we filed, so I would know,
Oh, okay.
and they said, and by they I mean done,
Yeah.
and said, you need to do this.
Yeah,
So it's not in the sense, it's not saying only these people can bring CIFs forward. It's not saying these people have to approve the CIFs, the entire board has to approve the CIF.
Yeah.
All this is basically 4 or 5 if you want to. I honestly don't care.
Well, it said up
would
to
have
5. It said up to 5.
No, I understand, if you
Yeah.
want to be the 5th.
Yeah.
This would simply be the people who had access to the system. That's all it is. And the reason I did the 4 officers, because, to be honest, we touch everything. Jerry's chair of planning, Brandon's chair of budget. Certainly, if you're interested as vice chair of planning or bylaws.
No, I have no objection to any of those people. All I'm saying is that I would think you would be the last person, only because you don't actually sit on a committee. As president, you don't.
Arguably, I sit on every committee.
Yeah, arguably you do, but you don't necessarily have to be.
This is primarily just an administrative.
This is completely
Yeah,
administrative.
administrative, yeah, right.
And the reality is, if we don't get this in this month, nothing that we would like to do in terms of this council file is gonna be done until it rolls through again. I'm just trying to get us to the point where we can.
Yeah, and I'm
Mechanically do
full
so.
agreement. I'm full
Excuse me, Mr.
agreement.
President, are there any more financial votes that need to be taken? Because we're going to lose our quorum right now.
Darren, thank you. Let me double check real quickly. I do, yeah, we have some outreach one, but outreach chair is not here.
I was gonna, do the
How late can you stay?
report for you.
We need a quorum for this vote.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need quorum for this one as well. Okay,
fee?
If we can get this done, then we'll have to put
Yeah,
out.
I'm fine, I'll go along with it, I remove any objections.
Okay.
I just wanna get this here through so we can move on.
That's the only reason I didn't do it. Okay, so having said that, all right. End of discussion, sir.
Mr. Chair, could you clarify where the motion begins and ends? In other words, the exact wording out of this paragraph, please.
Well, actually, the motion would be, where it says motion to approve the following 4 officers, down to including Treasurer Grant Shipping and member law.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, closing, board comment. All right, again, it's just administrative. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, thank you. Darren, are you gonna survive for outreach money expenditures, or are you just ready to call it a night?
You hurry up.
Okay, all right, I'm gonna move to 8(2)B.
Outreach motion.
Yeah, outreach
action.
motions.
Printing costs, total requests, up to 400, 100 for printing costs, business forum, info, and survey, up to 150 for 2-sided green, Granada Hills South Neighborhood Council trifold pamphlets, 50 for specifically outreach materials at outreach meetings and general board meetings, 100 for postage stamps and envelopes for community level outreach. So,
Jim's not here, so are you asking that as a motion?
yeah,
All right, Kristen's carrying that as the mover, and she's asking for a second.
It didn't come out.
It didn't come out. Yeah, that's the note. It needs a second.
he says, yeah.
At least.
I'll second.
Okay, all right. So Mike seconds it. Kristen, you want to call for roll comment?
Public comment, is there any comment against the motion?
Is this B?
Yeah, this is BI, actually.
And this is for what?
Printing costs. $400 for the printing.
Okay,
For
but
outreach.
printing what?
The trifold.
Printing,
Everything she just.
the trifolds,
Survey?
the pamphlets,
Okay. Well,
postage, stamps, envelopes.
no. No. Hell no.
Okay, all right.
You know, easy to it. Well, I mean, folks, we have did this so many times and nothing ever comes of it. And one of the reasons why nothing ever comes of it is because we don't have any statisticians. And to do a proper survey, it has to be put together by a statistician in order to get the information you're looking for. We don't know how to do it because we get a pamphlet and we just send it out. You know what? Richard Fisk over here puts out a newsletter every month, and we are offered free advertisement in it by putting in what we've done. And we have never did it in the last 7 years. And now we're gonna spend money to do what we can do for free? Come on, folks. What are we doing? Figuring out a way to throw away money just because we have it?
Okay.
Mr. Kuzman had a hand up.
Well, I don't know, if you're taking board comments first, which it sounds like first, I'll wait until you're done with board
Call
comments.
public comment first.
Yeah, it should have been
Well,
public
then,
comment.
okay. I just would like to know, are there any estimates? And I believe that the funding requirements would have to have a name of the vendor that's going to do the printing.
Well, this is what the.
So I'm just, my concern is that we don't have estimates
Can we
that,
discuss this in the last?
Not the.
Isn't this requested up to $400 for the printing? Doesn't have to specify, so you're just saying we might purchase certain.
Okay, I'm, sorry, somebody saying something?
Because Krishna wasn't there and I was there, this is actually coming out of outreach. And we have several printers in line, including Prairie Press. And actually a couple of others. I think Mr. Kuzman was even going to check with one printer. We're basing the $4,200 based on what it cost last year. And that's where we're getting that figure from. To add to the second part of that, I have to say yes, hell yes. That our, this is warranted in that at every event we have, we hand out these trifolds. And at our last event, last two events, the open house at Granada Hills, right here at the school, we had 73 people signed up. Also at the Easter egg hunt, we had 139 people sign up with 75% giving us full addresses and emails. This is a critical part of outreach.
What's the trifold? I'd like to have one, I want to grab it.
It's basically
It tells you
It's
the
a
name,
pamphlet.
who we are, when we meet.
our website, all the different committees.
It's on our
It's a complete layout of who we are and what we are, and how to seek activism on their part for them to make a difference in our community as well.
And we are out of our giveaways also.
And these aren't even giveaways, these are.
Yeah, it's
These are handouts.
informational pieces, which are critical.
How many pamphlets is this gonna make?
Well, we made about 400, I think, the cost was, Brad, didn't you pay for the tripods?
Was that was that one of the UPS?
$68 or something?
Yeah, it was not super expensive.
Yeah. So we definitely get, bang for our buck.
Christian, ask for any other info?
Any other questions? Any other discussion? The motion, we get to vote or to a
Yeah.
motion?
It's ask for.
I ask for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Well, no, it's money, you have to read it.
Okay, it's financial.
Okay, 1, 2. Okay, but I can see we're going to get a note here, so we're going to have to write down some names. Anthony Matthews, Jerry Askew, Brad Smith, Mike Benedetto, Krista Crawford Valesco, Bonnie Burst, Sonny Colston, Mark Morris, sorry, it's got a claim, Ross Terrell, Darren Lopez. Noes?
All opposed.
Opposed. Eric Manska. Any abstentions? Okay, that's, I think that's 11-1. No abstentions.
Okay. Hey, Kristen, since Mike was at the meeting, Mike, you want to take the number 2?
The,
The 4,200.
So I'd like to make a motion to have the up to $4,200 for printing and mailing of the 6-page black and white newsletter survey, which is to some extent mandatory that outreach spend a certain amount of money for this purpose. And it goes out to the various people in our community, stakeholders, homeowners and whatnot. We have some going to businesses, schools, libraries, et cetera, et cetera. So is there, do I do part 3 as well?
No, do it
Okay,
one at a
do-
time.
okay.
And actually,
So-
to be fair, this, according to the note that I got from Jim, this actually came out of committee, so you
It
don't
did,
necessarily
so
need a
it's,
second.
any public comment? Mr. Kuzma?
Again, I when I did this and presented it last month, I had an estimate from a printer. I see here that it says checking with 2 people to see if we can get a better price. I don't see in here where that was done, and if there was an alternate price, or if you're going to use the local Northridge vendor that submitted the first estimate for printing the newsletters.
Well, that's why the motion says up to $4,200, because that's the highest. We're gonna continue to try and do better, but in the meantime, we're up against the gun because we have to fund this before May 1st, and we won't meet again.
My point is when we have these things and we're gonna write a check, we need to know who that check is gonna go to. We have to have decided on the printer that's gonna do the work that we're allocating the funds for. And that's why I'm just having a little difficulty. You know, I don't really like that we would just rely on the one estimate I obtained. I was supposed to be given another name to contact, and that I was never given that name. I never received that email, so I couldn't do any additional research on pricing. So that's why, you know, it's difficult, because I guess we can still vote on it next month if it's not approved, or if we don't know who it is tonight.
Okay, any board comment?
Are we just allocating the budget? We're not necessarily
We're
just
saying,
saying-
so budget's on, it's actually, the money's actually budgeted.
right.
So-
Okay, so we're not really committing to it. So,
You got a stakeholder?
I have one.
I'm sorry.
Well, as Eric kind of mentioned, I've been doing this newsletter for about 10 years, every month, and it covers it gets mailed out to 1,400 addresses, basically covers 1/3 of your entire area. And I begged, and been begging for months and months and years, even at the North Council, please send me something, I'm happy to put it in. There are many events that you've had, and I specifically asked at a meeting, I've heard that maybe in the past, a movie night or something, send me something, I'll put it in. I never did it. And I think that's kind of shameful, and I don't charge to put it in. Our organization pays, gets us printed, and like I said, it goes out to 1,400 addresses, basically in this local area. And one of the things, this $4,200, you should have a quantity on how much it costs. I mean, we can get different,
It was for 20, the estimate I got was for 20,000.
20,000.
And according to the list that was passed out tonight, we have 28,000 residents in Granada Hills. Now, that's not
Okay,
households.
Come on, this is back and forth conversation, and we've already moved to board comments. I appreciate what you're saying. Eric's made the same point. It's already 8:30, and we still have a lot of other material to go through.
Okay, any other comments?
Yes. I think it's I don't think it's appropriate expenditure. And the reason why is simple. I've been involved in this organization since the start. We've done newsletters again and again, and to be honest, I haven't seen any significant return. The fact that we had more than 200 stakeholder signups based on staffing 2 events that we got into for free, essentially. I'm sorry. We got into the open house for free. You can argue that we supported the Daycons, that was part of that. I just don't see it. It's, you know, the oldest communications technology in the world. And truthfully, I think a lot of times, and with all due respect to the old Granada residents newsletter, I'm the only person in my household who even looks at that. And I think even that's probably kind of rare. So realistically, yeah, it's in the budget. It doesn't mean we have to spend the money. We could reallocate it. We certainly could reallocate it to a different sort of outreach expenditure. And for one, frankly, at this point, I would actually say urge a no vote, first of all.
Good night.
Board members first.
I have a suggestion. Why don't we take advantage of this newsletter, since you send it out once a month, to include the times, the dates and times of our meeting.
Somebody has to send me the information.
Yeah, that's really a question for the outreach committee.
Yeah, okay.
Can I get your phone
Can
number?
we get a vote?
It's on the
Mike, you have a request for Dave?
Mike?
For clarification.
I got the concept of the motion up to 4,200 for a newsletter and survey. However, the wording that you verbalized is different from what's on the agenda. Could you clarify the exact wording of the motion that will go into the
The
minute?
motion would be up to 4,200 for printing and mailing costs of 6 page black and white Granada South Neighborhood Council newsletter and survey to be mailed to all GH and SNC addresses.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So this is what we were talking about last time.
Right.
This is 3 pages.
We also included, well, they consider back and front additional pages. And we also have a insert, 8.5 by 11 insert, okay. Back and front as well. And just for the record, Brad asked me to report the motion. I didn't say it was a big
I don't think I think if we send out a survey, how are we gonna guarantee they're gonna come back to us?
Yeah. My problem is that it says 6 pages. This is 4 pages of content and an insert. So what else is there? That's missing.
The initial back and front, which is 17 by 11, is 4 pages long.
So 1, 2, there's our insert. 3, 4.
And the insert should be back in front as well.
There's a backside, the very last page. There's double right there.
Yeah, the insert, you're missing the insert.
So
Backside.
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 Okay. So I'm missing.
Do you have that on you, Mr. Cooper? The other part, page 2 of the insert?
Oh, no.
You see, you get into the minutia of every little tiny thing, and, you know, this was submitted, and it doesn't match what's there. So,
Jim's not here.
I think that's too much. A postcard would be
Perhaps we
sufficient,
can
but.
call
Yeah.
for a vote. We can get-
Yeah, we should refer this back to committee
Okay.
if they want to bring it back.
Is there a second on referring back to committee?
Second.
Let's do it backwards, or no, those
You
in
just say-
favor?
Well, actually, you have to take a public comment again.
Okay.
We don't need a public
No,
comment.
we did it
Not
once.
to refer to committee, yeah, actually, we don't. All right, call for a vote.
Those in favor?
Referring to committee?
Aye.
Those opposed? Abstentions? Unanimous.
Thank you. Do we have an example of this decal? The next question.
No.
Yeah, I'll move that we refer number Roman 3 back to committee as well.
Although it's not here, I'd like to make a motion and then look for a second, that we spend up to $500 for outreach items such as,
Yeah, we just clear out Roman 3 first.
The business store.
Yeah,
Oh.
we don't have an example of detail, right?
yeah,
All right, so I moved and Mike seconded to send that one back to committee.
Okay.
okay. Those in favor of sending it back to committee?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Just for point of order, separate item, we need to take public comment on the item.
Any public comment on moving that back to committee?
Sorry. Abstentions? It's unanimous.
All right. Darren, thank you. Thank you for staying.
Feel better?
Yeah.
We still, pilot.
So, that's good.
We still have one.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. I realize that was not the most pleasant experience, but the flip side is, for a very small investment of time and energy, outreach had a great return on 2 separate events. So good job to people who worked those events, and I know Mike was actively, overtly getting takers to sign up, getting out and walking up to them and asking to sign up. So nice job on that. All right, if we can get back, let's see.
Brad, one other item.
Sure.
As I was mentioning, I'd like to make a motion that outreach receive up to $500 for pens and other items that we usually use, the magnets with regards to our logo,
We do need the new
refrigerator magnets.
I understand we don't have anything because I was going to clear out the box, but the reality is we can't do it without, it's not agendized.
Oh.
But if you're gonna have a committee meeting before next month, we can bring it forward that way, or Jim as chair can get in touch with me and we can handle it that way. We can't just move it right now.
I understand that, but when's the next full board meeting?
June 11th.
We have to have this stuff in by then.
That's the challenge.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm sorry, May, I apologize.
But after the first, we have it up until May 1st.
It's getting really tight. It really depends if you guys can do a committee meeting.
We could do the meeting. You can't make the board meet earlier.
No, we can't.
You can always have a special meeting.
You know what, for $200, we could maybe get $500. I'll write you a check. Okay. I mean, I covered a chunk of the Easter parade, or the spring eggnog myself, so I'll write a check for this. Okay, moving along. Let's see. Mike, you want to resign and be reappointed?
We're down to 11, so.
You can't do it now.
All right, Russell, sorry. I'll do it now. Okay, President, I've reported blank. Vice President? Treasurer, we've done. Secretary, thank you for the business card.
I've got 2 very quick things. I've got business cards. If anybody else wants business cards, let me know. Apologies to Varuna if I forgot to get his cards. I'm going to get them next week along with one other persons and if any other board member wants them. The second thing is, President asked me to report that in deference to trying to work as a team and doing what Eric wanted, I did take his the West Hill, no, which one was it, which board was it?
North Hills West.
No, the ones that had the finance guidelines, the guidelines that we talked about endlessly for funding.
Greater Wilshire.
Oh, the Greater Wilshire.
Greater
Yeah.
Wilshire.
Yeah.
I took those guidelines down. I had a meeting down at the park here with the new park director. His name is Mark Annette, who we've seen him here. And I went over the guidelines with them and explained that we were trying to up the ante on getting neighbourhood purpose grants and here requests that were actually meaningful and significant, and they have undertaken to come in with a year's plan ahead of time for what they're going to ask for, when they're going to ask for it, and to be responsive to letting us know how the money was spent. And they did show me a flyer that has for the Easter egg hunt that had the Granada Hills logo on it front and centre, so that was very good.
Went all over Facebook too.
Nicely done. Okay. All right, we're to 8 committee reports, and we're going to work our way through bylaws and rules. And there's a reason we're doing this, and Eric can explain why, but please pay attention. Mr. Masker.
This paper here, it says standing and ad hoc committees of neighborhood councils under the Brown Act. If you go down 2/3 of the page, it says establishing standing committees. Standing committees, as noted above, are generally established in the operating bylaws of the neighborhood council by simply listing their titles and functions. In our current bylaws, and I handed the bylaws out, if you look at them, you'll see that the only thing that's listed, where are my bylaws? The only thing that's listed under the bylaws, it doesn't even say what committees we have. So this is just house cleaning to make sure that we are in compliance with the Brown Act for neighborhood council. So, having said that, this is the language on page 9 of our bylaws under other standing committees. There are no titles or descriptions. We must amend our bylaws by adding descriptions and duties. This comes seconded by Anthony Matthews, and the motion was unanimous. Starting with the government affairs, this committee is made up of 5 board members whose primary duties are to submit community impact statements, CSIs, the Los Angeles City Council website on behalf of the Granada Hills South Neighborhood Council and its stakeholders. Each of these members shall sit, as I put it, each of these members shall sit on at least 2 standing committees that make up the council files on behalf of stakeholders and recommendation to the board for consideration to a vote. This committee may not have a need for a regular meeting or time and place, since this is done through committees, and it's also, most of this work is done online. You look up the committees by going to lacity.org. You can, from there, you look up government affairs on it, and then you look up the government, hit that, and then you'll see council files over to the right. You just hit that, and then you can press in any council file that you want to look up, and it's got the complete thing on each council file, including which council files have been filed by different organizations and rebuttal to it. So it's not like you have to get together with this council. All you have to do is look it up, and I'm hoping that this becomes very stakeholder centric. I'm hoping a lot of stakeholders get involved, because they can actually email this information to the various council members here, neighborhood council members. So this is basically the language that we're going to put in for the Government Affairs Committee. I'd like, want to open this up. Any stakeholder comments?
I would only suggest we might do them all.
Okay, you want to go through them all together?
Well, I mean, again, this is completely administrative.
Well, I did email every chairman of each standing committee and ask them for their input. The only one I got back was actually from Brandon, and I reinserted what he would like to see, and I told him sure I'd be glad to accommodate that. So if that's the case, if you read these, he was the only one. You were at the committee.
No, I sent you an email March 23rd where I added a bunch of language to this, and you sent back an email back to me saying, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and that's here.
No, it's not.
It's not?
No.
Wait, no, what you sent me was totally inappropriate. It's gotta be, it's,
what my opinion was.
yeah, but
And then you
it said
basically said, no, you're gonna
description.
do it any way you want.
No, I said this, what does it say? It has to be description of what the committee does, and that's what it's gotta fall in line with. What do you do? And what are your functions?
Eric, I don't recall getting the email from planning and land use.
That's because you're out of the country and I was the co-chair.
I was checking my email.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, so you didn't send one to me.
well, that may be true, but I was the
Definitely.
co-chair, so.
Thank you.
Is there something about the
No,
description?
it was only that you said you sent the email out. I didn't
Yeah.
remember seeing it, so. Okay, take it one by one.
Okay. Discussion on the Government Affairs Committee, language? Yes?
And I'm gonna apologize up front because I have a lot of comments on this. I was out of the country and couldn't attend the committee meeting where it would have been the correct place to discuss this. So we talked earlier about effectively a division of duties on the people who do the administrative work of inputting, literally typing in the community impact statements, versus the people who formulate them and follow the council files. So I just, on this one, you know, the word submit, I think it might be better to have formulate community impact statements, and you know, then from there on out, you know, there's not a mention of those people following the council files, but that they could take up council files.
Well, it's only what the committee does. The 5 members of that committee, what do? They submit council files.
Well, they don't submit council files, only the city council can do that.
No, community impact statements, I'm sorry, community impact statements. They submit community impact statements on behalf of the neighborhood council and the stakeholders.
So I think they formulate the community impact statement, which the board then votes on, because the committee language would come up to the board for a vote. And then it would be those people who have
understood, but yeah, okay, we can say that, we can say that.
Okay, so we're striking submit and adding formulate in its place?
Well, you have to submit still. I mean, you can add formulate and submit. That's all I'm saying.
Well, it's the other people up here that would be actually doing the, you know, pushing the submit button.
So the committee would formulate these based on input from stakeholders in the community. They would bring it to the board would vote aye or nay, and then basically, because essentially we've got the president, the vice president, the secretary, and the treasurer, who are dealing with, touching everything and dealing with this stuff on a regular basis, we would be the ones who would take the language that's approved, type it into the little system, and push the button.
That's my suggestion.
Okay. Any objections to that?
No, I don't have any.
So striking submit, replacing with formulate, everything else is understood.
So formulate community impact statements to submit to the board, as opposed to the Los Angeles City Council website.
So add the word submit after to, and replace Los Angeles City with GHSNC Council, singular. Start website.
Well, I mean, that is where you submit it to.
Yeah, that's what we just took away from us. We just took away submit.
That is where you upload it.
How about this? Let me suggest this as an amendment. The committee is made up of 5 board members whose primary duties are to formulate community impact statements. Period.
End of story. Good.
Strike remainder of sentence.
Yeah, that works.
So where we say this committee may not have a need for regular meeting time place, so they never voted?
No, it's just that they don't need to come together. Once those 5 members, they bring it here anyway. They don't have,
So if they're formulating something, they're not voting?
no, we vote on it.
The
All they're doing is just coming up with the language for us to vote on.
So it's an information.
Yeah, it's an information. Yeah.
So you're assuming it's going to go to email?
No, what I'm saying is, any stakeholder, anybody, can go online, see what the council file is about. If you agree or disagree, or you agree and have some reservations about it, you can submit that, but it's up to,
So you're submitting it here?
well, what happens is, then they would submit it to any board member. And any board member would then bring it to this neighborhood council. We vote on it here, and the 5 people who were going to submit it would write it up in the language that we were going to submit. Because first off, you can only submit 100 words or less to on the council file. Although you can add a document to it, further explaining your position, and that's how it's done. But the original council file is 100 words or less, as per
The original CIS.
the original CIS. And then you can attach a longer document to it explaining why you feel this way and so forth.
So everything you just said, I don't see any support for this last sentence, why don't we just strike? We don't need to add an explanation as to what they may or may not need to vote.
Well, this is just an explanation of what the council will do, the committee will do.
basically, I mean, once they're in the bylaws, these are things that.
Explain it strictly, like what Jerry was saying, this say formulate,
You know, we could honestly strike everything after, primary duties are to formulate community impact statements,
I would agree
period.
with that. Make it as simple and straightforward as possible, not with all this extra stuff that people have to refer to and do pretzel moves to make sure
Just
we.
strike the second and third sentences of this, motion.
5 board members whose primary duties are to submit community impact statements, period.
Formulate community impact statements. Yes.
Formulate, but you would still submit them.
Oh.
That's part of your job, is to submit community impact statements. That is why you're giving passwords and codes.
Right, but all I'm trying to say is it's gonna have to be formulated, brought to the general board votes it up or down, and then you know as well as I do, it's gonna come down to a small group of people who usually handle the administrative chow anyway. So if we just leave the word submit out, it addresses the issue and we can move on.
formulate to say. Okay, can we make that a formal amendment? Do you want to piggyback on mine?
Sure.
For that, okay, so I'll make the formal motion to amend. The committee is made up of 5 board members whose primary duties are to formulate community impact statements, period. Striking all remaining language.
Second.
I still think you should have a submit, because that's basically why you're giving passwords and codes.
Well, but that's what we'll have to see. This, it has to be formulated by somebody first, and then it has to go to the board has to approve it. Then it can be
Submitted. That's why I'm saying is their job is to submit.
That's what the
Eric, the board has to authorize the committee to submit it.
Yeah, okay.
Or the authorized submitters. Okay, so as my amendment as read, any comment? Public comment? Bonnie?
I like the revised words. The only comment I'm gonna have is just procedural, that when they formulate this, I really think that would be so much more useful if they could do a report and they submit it, the report to the board and say, here's our community impact statement on CF file number whatever. Because it's so confusing to come here and have somebody do a 3 or 1 line blurb on a file that totally, it doesn't tell us anything about what it is. And so I think it could be a very useful committee, but if you guys are gonna do a community impact statement, it'd be nice if that was also sent around as a proposed community impact statement, right? It's a proposed one, because it hasn't been before. And the council file should be right after that as an attachment or something, or we don't know what we're looking at.
Well, and realistically, the way it should be, not only should the language of the CIS be included, but at the very least, there should be a link to the original council file language. And so I think that's the way it's supposed to work. And obviously, that's something that if it doesn't, if the motion doesn't provide both of those things, it's just not gonna be agendized.
To Mark's point, since these are bylaws, seems you probably don't want to get that specific.
Right, yeah, but I will certainly commit to making sure that we have links to the underlying motions in any agendas where this comes forward.
Okay, on the amendment, any other discussion? I'll take this one by acclamation. Are there any objections to the amendment? Seeing none, amendment passes, so back over to you, Eric.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, can I just ask for some information? What was the original motion that was amended? Was it the
To strike it.
Okay.
I think we're taking this, yeah.
In the amendment, but the original motion was the entire paragraph.
Yeah.
And that was made by the committee?
It was made by me.
By the committee, right?
By the committee, yes.
Thank you.
Right, so we're basically taking each one by one.
All right, Eric.